Ambitious and at times ambiguous, the Northside Regeneration Project practically made Paul McKee a household name in St. Louis. This year, with more details, came more questions about the effort to redevelop a large swath of North St. Louis. Jim Kircher spoke with residents about the project and the man behind the plan.
Around here, he owns that property, and he owns the property behind.
Right here, he owns that. Right there, he's just bought. Right down there, he's just bought.
We own that lot except for...
Paul McKee doesn't own everything in his Northside regeneration area, but he's just about everybody's neighbor. The question is, how good of a neighbor is he going to be?
So I want to know what's going to happen there. And I don't know that he knows at this point.
This project is so big, it covers so much ground. He spent years secretly buying pieces of property, that's often the way big developers work, and assembled a lot of land before people began to realize that somebody was up to something big. The somebody was Paul McKee, a successful suburban developer. The something big? Well, that's something of a big question now that McKee has jumped many of the legal and political hurdles and is ready to start. If you're looking for something to happen soon, look to the new Stan Musial Veterans Bridge, where it lands in the city just north of downtown.
Yeah, the interchange is right over here. Just, almost could throw a rock at it. Where that stoplight is, right. That's the
Around here, it's not so much about housing as it is about business. And the owner of the Gateway Auto Repair Shop on 13th Street is glad the long wait is over.
Basically, I'm looking at a lot of new, maybe like a Quick Trip down here, maybe an IGA store they're talking about, new properties. They're talking about fixing some roads up, and there's going to be 4 sections of the McGee project, which is A, B, C, and D. This one's A. This is the first one they're going to break ground on, and it's supposed to go June 6th.
Buying land around a new, busy interchange, that seems like a smart business investment. Buying lots of land in a depressed urban environment, that's really the part that has people wondering and hoping that McKee means what he says.
I see a lot of people happy, a lot of people moving here, a lot of the existing people having opportunity for jobs. There's not a supermarket within 7.5 miles, so I see that coming back. I see green.
McKee is talking about doing a lot of things: new businesses, new jobs, new housing, bringing back an area that long ago began to lose jobs and population. It has a lot of empty lots and abandoned buildings, but it also has some new housing and some industry. It is not empty, but it is predominantly African American. And when white people come in with big plans for a black neighborhood, that brings back memories. In the 1950s, the densely populated Mill Creek neighborhood was cleared. People were relocated for commercial and industrial development that just didn't happen as promised. And while there are a lot of important ways that this is not the same story, it still makes a lot of people uneasy.
I grew up in Mill Creek. My family grew up in Mill Creek. We have a long history.
Lois Connolly is the founder and director of the Griot Museum of Black History on St. Louis Avenue.
So the talk of what Paul McKee would like to do here, how did you first react when you heard what was going on?
Actually with mixed emotions, because I've had some experiences both as being moved out of a neighborhood, out of a community because of a redevelopment project, and also working for a developer. I can't be angry at him or any developer who wants to make the area better.
We look at that burned out building over there.
Good Lord, it needs to come down. But next to it are people who live in those houses who have been there for years.
Yeah.
And so what happens to those people? And I'm sure there's some concern on their part. You feel a little less intimidated if you're a part of the process and you have some input. Yeah. But when people just sort of feed it to you and you have no decision making, it's a little harder to swallow.
McKee has met with community members since the plan became public. He says he's working with and in the interests of the people who live here. But there are really lots of areas involved and lots of interests. Some people, for example, want to know if and when McKee will save the historic Clemens House. Something will have to be done soon if it's not already too late. But this is a long-term project, longer than the 10 years it took to assemble all the land. And a lot of the early work will focus on infrastructure, which means that change won't look much like change. except in a few places, like the New Bridge interchange north of downtown.
Most of the businesses I'm talking to, they're happy. The Northside's getting rebuilt. You know, there was like a tunnel over here that's already gotten filled up. The neighborhood, I've been on here 25 years. It is so much better than it used to be, and it's just getting better and better as it goes. That's what I see.